literally a firebomb into a window in Hillsborough, North Carolina. It's unacceptable, and we're going to make sure that this does not impact the free elections that we have in our country and in the state of North Carolina.
Governor, we heard from Josh Earnest earlier today in his regular briefing that it seemed he had not briefed, or they had briefed the president, or he with them, what happened. I think we have some audio of that, but if we can just react to this.
I haven't spoken to the president about this, but obviously having seen the reports, there is no justification for the use of violence to advance a political agenda.
Have you had a chance, Governor, to talk to the president about this?
The president has not called. I haven't called him. We actually were not made aware of this by local authorities for a fairly long period of time. I think the local authorities, frankly, dealt with this in the first several hours just as an act of vandalism, and this is much more than an act of vandalism, and that's one reason I called the SBI to ensure that we have an SBI agent actively involved with local authorities in this investigation. But I think initially this wasn't taken that seriously by some of the local authorities, but it is now, and again, I appreciate the mayor's comments, but I hope the White House treats this as seriously as they would if it happened to the other party, and I would as governor, and I'm sure the president would too. But this type of a Molotov cocktail being thrown into a window in probably the dead of night, I'm just glad no one got hurt, but it is a clear sign of intimidation, and it's unacceptable in our country, and it's unacceptable here in North Carolina.
And it comes certainly after, Matthew, and you've dealt with 26 people dying from that storm. That's the latest count I have, many homeless as a result. And yet today, on this year's 60th birthday, a group called Writers for Progressive North Carolina purchased a full-page ad blasting your leadership of the state, chasing business away, saying that the progressive bent of North Carolinians has been compromised under your leadership. I think they're going back to the transgender bathroom issue, H-2 visa issue, but what do you make of all that?
I wish they would have saved their money and not spent it on a ridiculous political propaganda, and maybe would have donated that money to a lot of the homeless people that we have right now that are flooded out of their homes over about a 200 or 300 square mile area of North Carolina, actually about a 600 square mile area of North Carolina. That money would have been much better spent helping people who are in shelters at this point in time, from Lumberton, North Carolina, all the way to the Tar River area of North Carolina. We've got a lot of people that are hurting right now, and this is not a time for those types of foolish politics, nor is it a time for this type of violence trying to impact our democratic system. This is all a propaganda campaign brought in from the outside of North Carolina that sadly the national media brought into regarding this ridiculous gender debate, which the left started, not the right. And sadly, it's probably going to be determined by the Supreme Court. But right now, I have much more important issues on my plate regarding trying to get our state back in place. I'm having areas of the state being flooded right now as we speak, even though the hurricane left North Carolina over 9 days ago.
Governor, thank you very much for taking the time. The Governor of North Carolina, Pat McCrory, dealing with quite a bit simultaneously. We'll have more on the fallout there and everywhere after this.
You owned your car for 4 years. You named it Brad. You loved Brad. And then you totaled him. You two had been through everything together. 2 boyfriends, 3 jobs. You're like, nothing can replace Brad. Then Liberty Mutual calls. And you break into your happy dance.
If you sign up for Better Car Replacement, we'll pay for a car that's a model year newer with 15,000 fewer miles than your old one. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
You may not be a prepper now, but you will be. Whether the next disaster is man-made or wrought by Mother Nature, you need a plan. WiseFoodStorage.com's emergency gourmet meals are made in the USA, delicious, easy to prepare, just add water, and packaged and proportioned perfectly, eliminating waste and creating a shelf life of up to 25 years.
Get your free sample now and get 20% off during our October-only sale. Call 888-731-5532.
This is Todd Hardy, a fitness buff, youth baseball coach, and lung cancer patient.
The day that I got the diagnosis, I was just shocked. The surgeon in Dallas said I needed to have the top left lobe of my lung removed. I wanted to know what my other options were, and I found that at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
At CTCA, our experts examine a variety of therapies, treatments, and technologies to identify a plan specifically for each patient.
My doctor understood that who I am was just as important as what cancer I had. We talked about options. My doctor told me about a robotic surgery that was less invasive.
We have excellent technology that allow us to perform very specialized procedures for patients who have lung disease.
At CTCA, it's all about what you can do. I feel fantastic now.
Exploring treatment options is at the heart of how we fight cancer. The evolution of cancer care is here. Learn more about our treatment options at cancercenter.com/lung. Appointments available now.
Getting ready for round 3. Trump's advisor talks debate strategy. Plus, Judge Napolitano on how the WikiLeaks hack could hurt Hillary. Tonight on The Kelly File.
If you're approaching 65, now's the time to get your ducks in a row to learn about Medicare and the options you have. You see, Medicare doesn't cover everything. Only about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. So if 65 is around the corner, think about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company. Like all standardized Medicare Supplement insurance plans, they help cover some of what Medicare doesn't pay and could save you in out-of-pocket medical costs. So don't wait. Call to request your free decision guide and gather the information now to help you choose a plan later. These types of plans let you pick any doctor or hospital that takes Medicare patients. And there's a range of plans to choose from, depending on your needs and your budget. So if you're turning 65 soon, call now and get started. Because the time to think about tomorrow is today. Go long.
All right, we're in the middle of earnings season right now. A lot of companies issuing their sort of quarterly report cards. We don't do them all, obviously, but the seminal ones like Netflix we do. The stock is surging after hours around 20%. Here's why. Not only were the numbers better than expected, but the number of streaming subscribers way better than expected, coming in at north of 3.5 million. Most were expecting it to be more like 2.33 million. Streaming customers are paying customers, and the more you get, the more money comes in, and that was something far better than thought. So Netscape doing quite well after hours, up about 20%. All right, in the meantime, Netflix, I should say. Now, one thing I should let you know, too, when it comes to polls that you've heard a great deal of attention about, we focus on them, we report them, but we also let you know polls are merely snapshots in time. I only say this because there's a great deal of consensus building that Donald Trump has finished, the election is over, and they kind of said that after Brexit, they kind of said that after the Colombia deal, they kind of said that after voting in Germany elections. But I want to show you this Colombia agreement, this peace agreement with rebels. Once the president scored that deal with the FARC elements, the revolutionary elements in the country, pre-election polls showed that it was going to pass easily. It didn't. In fact, it wasn't even close to that poll result. Now, does that mean, and does this trend, like Brexit, like some of these other polls we see of populist rage or populist surprises globally, have any bearing here? Let's ask Pat Goodell, former Democratic pollster. What do you think, Patrick?
Well, I think they do. I mean, I've never seen the polls so screwy. Look, we have right now a poll. We have 2 polls up. We have polls showing somebody claiming I don't know what they do. They claim that Hillary's 12 points ahead. The Washington Post says it's 4. That's on the same day, basically, of polling.
And
we
the same group, right? Likely
numbers.
voters, right? So.
Well, a lot depends on the sample, likely voters. I'll tell you the other problem, though, is they're getting way too many Democrats in a lot of these polls. Give you an example on the Fox poll. A week ago, Fox had an average of a Democratic edge over Republicans of 2 points. That would have been roughly in that range for last 4 polls.